Victorians are entitled to ask whether Premier Andrews will ever be held accountable for the constant allegations of corruption haunting his government in Victoria. Now, many will argue they're more than allegations and more likely an undeniable truth, because the stench that hangs over Andrews and how he has run the government, how he has created and manipulated political outcomes to strengthen his power base at the expense of transparency and honesty, has delivered Victorians possibly Victoria's worst ever government. It's not an unreasonable question for Victorians to want to ask. And the Victorian Ombudsman, Deborah Glass's move to appoint an investigator from New South Wales independent to the Victorian government without party political connections or appointees is a clear sign Glass has no trust in the Victorian government recommended appointee's ability to act independently without being lent on. It's encouraging Victoria has an ombudsman with integrity. Now, as each day passes, reports consistently surface of alleged criminality and corruption emanating from the office of the Andrews government. Just recently, 4 of Andrews' most senior ministers tendered their resignations effectively, immediately. Now, a look that sends a message of rats not only sinking a deserting ship, but no longer accepting of Andrews' tyrannical rule. Imagine a CEO that had his leadership team all resign and that CEO remains unquestioned. And that makes the latest scandal to surface this week another fascinating drama of behavioural reinforcement. Scurrying to appoint 4 new ministers to fill portfolios abandoned by Deputy Premier James Merlino, Martin Pakula, Lisa Neville and Martin Foley was Lizzie Blandthorn as the new planning minister. 2 days in, and Blandthorn is already embroiled in drama and the appearance of a scandal. Her appointment raises questions of a conflict of interest. Why? Because her brother is a lobbyist. You see, John Paul Blandthorn is also former advisor to who else? Daniel Andrews. JP Blandthorn is a lobbyist with Hawker Britain, and the clients he represents are major development, construction and infrastructure companies. Hawker Britain is closely linked to the Labor Party, making it all one very cosy relationship. It's a scandal that festers with a clear perception of conflict and knowing close connections and ties are designed for outcomes of a certain nature. And here's just some of the developers Hawker Britain and JP Blandthorn represent. We've got Mirvac, the Dennis Family Corporation, Westgate Tunnel builder John Holland, Melbourne Airport, McDonald's, and the Shopping Centre Council. It's also an interesting collection of powerful and potential donors who may be called on at some time. Now, Lizzie Blandthorn's appointment to the sensitive planning role clearly stinks. However, just as much as it stinks, there's no suggestion Minister Blandthorn will ever act inappropriately. But the informer is raising the inappropriateness of the appointment and why Hawker Britain have not removed JP Blandthorn from lobbying the government on behalf of those clients. And neither Andrews or Blandthorn have discounted that he would continue representing his clients to his sister. And even though the family ties remain strong, the minister's integrity now is being tested. Will the minister be able to separate her relationship with her brother and act independently of what is in the best interests of the state and not her brother and clients? Blandthorn's appointment highlights weaknesses in Victoria's rules around the lobbying and revolving door of political insiders who move between working in government and for business, seeking favourable decisions from government. Now, strategic and one-off ministerial planning decisions, including the rezoning of land, planning permits and environmental impact approvals, can be worth tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars or more to these companies. But there's more. New Multicultural Affairs Minister Ross Spence is the wife of high-profile lobbyist political researcher and commentator and former Labor Deputy Campaign Director, Cos Samaras. Now, we're not saying that they've done anything wrong, but we're not saying that it doesn't have the appearance of the potential. The time has come for Victorians to adopt more strongly regulated lobbying rules, just as New South Wales and Queensland have in place. Because, as Deborah Glass, the Victorian Ombudsman, has stated, even potential conflicts of interest erode public trust in government as much as if someone is caught. Victoria under Andrews continues to appear to be open to potential graft and corruption. It's why, as a state government, they must not expose themselves to it. Remove the possibility, otherwise it will continue to foster the perception that it's a reality. Give Lizzie Blandthorn a different portfolio.